Seeing his sister harassed by a wealthy brat, Lin Tian explodes and delivers a brutal, merciless beatdown. Seizing the chance while Lin Tian is away, the rich punk returns with a gang to claim revenge. Lin Tian returns to find his home engulfed in flames. The thugs ambush him, ending his life. Little did they know, Lin Tian wouldn't stay buried. He was about to rise as a terrifying 𝒁𝒐𝒎𝒃𝒊𝒆. Losing his family in one day, he vows to make his enemies suffer 100 times more. This tragedy began on his first day at a new job. The boss's son, Wang Yifan, ruled the office. When Lin Tian's sister brought him lunch, Yifan's predatory eyes locked onto her innocent beauty. He licked his lips with a disgusting smirk, his gaze filled with pure, filthy desire. As Yifan began harassing the girl, Lin Tian's rage boiled over and he shoved the bastard back. Suppressing his fury, he told his sister, "Go home first. I will handle this." But Yifan didn't stop, mocking the food and dumping it like trash not even fit for dogs. When Lin Tian reached for the food, Yifan stepped on his hand, demanding his sister serve him. That was the final straw. Lin Tian's patience completely shattered into a million pieces. "Insult me all you want, but stay away from my sister." He then pulverized the villain's face. Following the incident, Lin Tian was fired immediately for workplace violence against his colleague. Fearing Yifan's family power, no one stood up for him. His first day was also his last. Lin Tian walked out, unaware of the murderous, venomous glare Yifan cast upon his back. That evening at home, his parents had prepared a warm feast of his favorite delicious dishes. Their peaceful dinner was shattered by a knock. Yifan had arrived with a gang armed with bats. Lin Tian was still at the park, wallowing in his misery, oblivious to the horror at home. As he finally approached his neighborhood, the night sky was pierced by the sirens of fire trucks. Horror struck as his home burned. Before he could act, thugs dragged him into a waiting car. They hauled him to a desolate, silent graveyard, far away from any hope of rescue. Yifan mocked him, admitting to the arson. Blinded by rage, Lin Tian lunged for the snake's throat. The thugs swarmed him. A heavy blow struck the back of his neck, and everything went dark. Seeing him lifeless, the gang panicked, fearing they had committed a crime too great to hide. They dug a hole and buried Lin Tian right there, hoping to erase their sins forever. Time passed. Then Lin Tian burst from the grave. Stiff-limbed with glowing red eyes, he had changed. Memories of his family's demise flooded back, fueling a burning hatred for the man who took everything. With endless resentment and sky-high fury, he swore this grudge would only end in blood. He struggled with his frozen body, sharp fangs, and long claws. Why was he hopping like a zombie? The grim reality set in. He had truly been reborn as a 𝒁𝒐𝒎𝒃𝒊𝒆, a living corpse. He used to enjoy zombie movies, but becoming one himself was a truly depressing twist of fate. Man or monster, it didn't matter. Wang Yifan's life was the price for his family's peace. As dawn broke, the first touch of sunlight felt like liquid fire burning through his undead flesh. He remembered the legends. A 𝒁𝒐𝒎𝒃𝒊𝒆 belongs to the shadows and must hide from the killing sun. With no shelter nearby, he was forced to crawl into an occupied coffin to hide from day. "Sorry, old man," he thought. "I'm a corpse too, so let's just share this space for today." Unfortunately, it was a festival day, and the cemetery was soon crawling with many visitors. One slip of the lid would turn him to ash. But exhaustion took over his fading consciousness. Night returned, and Lin Tian awoke. Luckily, the coffin remained sealed, and he had survived the day. After 4 days without sustenance, a primal hunger gnawed at his stomach and parched his throat. He had to feed. The cemetery was littered with fresh offerings left by the day's mourners. But human food was like poison. A fresh apple tasted like bitter, stinking rot in his mouth. Then, the scent of blood hit him. A wounded goat nearby became his first life-sustaining feast. The goat's blood tasted sweet and intoxicating. Every cell in his body tingled with raw power as Lam Thian felt himself growing stronger. But the realization that he actually craved this slaughter filled his soul with pure terror. He fought to suppress the darkness within, but the primal instincts of a 𝒁𝒐𝒎𝒃𝒊𝒆 were becoming far too overwhelming to ignore. Animal blood was no longer enough to sate his hunger. A forbidden, dark desire suddenly took hold. He needed to taste the essence of a human. Moments later, the owner of the lost goat appeared. Lam Thian lurked in the shadows behind a jagged rock, watching his prey. The man knelt to inspect the carcass while calling his wife. "Honey, I found the goat, but something killed it," he muttered into the phone. "There must be a wild beast nearby. Don't worry, I'll be home as soon as I finish up here, he reassured her. Disappointed, the man prepared to leave. 𝒁𝒊𝒆 tracked his every move, his mouth watering uncontrollably at the prospect of a fresh kill. How much blood does that man hold? Just as the hunger peaked, 𝒁𝒊𝒆's remaining humanity fought back, screaming at him to stop. If he harmed an innocent, he would be no better than that villain Vuong Nhat Pham. Meanwhile, the man continued his peaceful conversation. I get it. Stop worrying so much. You're always such a nag, the man joked, oblivious to the monster nearby. Suddenly, a sharp branch grazed the man's neck, drawing a thin line of crimson. The scent hit 𝒁𝒊𝒆 like a physical blow, his undead instinct screaming for him to strike. But then, the man's voice softened as he spoke of his family waiting at home for him. Is our son home yet? It's been so long. Finally, we're a family again. I am going to have a proper drink with the boy tonight. Those words pierced through 𝒁𝒊𝒆's hunger, reminding him of his own lost family. He bit his own hand to suppress the urge, refusing to shatter another family's happiness. He would not let his curse cause such devastating misery. As hunger gnawed at him, a divine and intoxicating scent suddenly drifted through the forest air. In the distance, two figures emerged from the mist. 𝒁𝒊𝒆 spotted two individuals dressed in traditional Taoist robes walking calmly through the woods. Are they cosplayers? He wondered. They looked far too young to be actual masters of the mystic arts. But then again, he was a living corpse. In this new world, real exorcists should not be that surprising. He had to stay hidden, yet their scent was becoming impossibly hard to resist. Just as they seemed about to pass, the man spun around, his eyes glowing with spiritual intensity. A 𝒁𝒐𝒎𝒃𝒊𝒆. I knew something was lurking in the shadows. With a sharp command to strike, the young woman instantly hurled a glowing yellow object straight at 𝒁𝒊𝒆. As it streaked through the air, he realized it was a talisman. Was he trapped in some old Hong Kong horror movie set? But as the paper charm closed in, an icy shiver of pure danger shot through his spine. His instincts screamed that this was lethal. If that thing touched him, he would be finished. He decided to trust his newfound undead survival senses. He threw himself aside just in time. The talisman missed, slamming into the massive tree trunk right behind his head. A blinding flash erupted, followed by a thunderous explosion that reduced the entire tree to splinters in an instant. His zombie intuition was dead on. It was clear now these two were legendary exorcists, and they were playing for keeps. 𝒁𝒊𝒆 tried to plead with them immediately. Stop! I am still human. He wanted to shout, but only a monstrous, guttural growl escaped his decaying throat. The Taoists watched in confusion as the zombie flailed his arms around in a frantic, desperate manner. A mere corpse dares to roar at us? The girl scoffed. Is this beast actually trying to provoke us? 𝒁𝒊𝒆 gestured wildly, trying to explain his innocence, but his pleas fell on deaf ears and cold hearts. This one has some intelligence, the senior priest noted. We must strike together to eradicate this abomination once and for all. He unsheathed a gleaming coin sword. Arrogant monster, taste this, he yelled, raising a mystical mirror toward the heavens. Pure moonlight reflected off the mirror, channeling into the blade until it radiated a ghostly, ethereal blue aura. With a thunderous roar, the priest launched the coin sword. It streaked through the air toward 𝒁𝒊𝒆 like a guided missile. Fortunately, 𝒁𝒊𝒆's undead reflexes were superhuman. He twisted his body, barely evading the lethal, glowing projectile. Rage flared within him. These people would not even listen. They just attacked without a single word of reason. He just wanted to escape, but the female exorcist blocked his path with a cold, predatory smirk. In a flash, she unleashed a dozen talismans that spiraled toward him like a swarm of hornets. They were not meant to kill, but to trap. The charms formed the Golden Bell Array, a spiritual prison that locked him in a cage of light. One touch of that barrier would sear his flesh with holy fire. He was trapped like a cornered animal. Seeing the perfect opening to strike, the senior brother strikes. His gold coin sword roars toward 𝒁𝒊𝒆, demanding his end. Trapped and cornered. Is this the end? Will 𝒁𝒊𝒆 perish before avenging his family? But as the sword strikes 𝒁𝒊𝒆's skin, an impossible anomaly suddenly shatters reality. The divine weapon fails. The binding snaps, and ancient coins scatter uselessly in the dirt. The senior brother's eyes widen in horror. How could his ultimate strike just vanish? My sword is useless? His sister steps forward, her eyes burning with icy resolve. She draws her peach wood sword, lunging at 𝒁𝒊𝒆 to deliver a final, fatal blow. Even an iron-bodied zombie cannot survive a soul-piercing strike directly through the heart. Disbelief strikes again. Her sacred wood sword shatters into splinters against Lin Tian's skin. This zombie devours spiritual weapons. Lin Tian stands there, looking completely clueless. Lin Tian glances up at the golden bell formation, feeling the massive pressure finally lifting. He senses the barrier's power flickering. The grand formation is reaching its breaking point. Seizing the moment, Lin Tian smashes the barrier and bolts. The cultivators watch in fury, but fury turns to dark fascination. Their eyes gleam with a new, twisted greed. A sentient zombie is a peerless weapon. If they enslave him, their power becomes legendary. Without a second thought, the two cultivators hunt him down through the shadows. The senior brother blurs past Lin Tian, unleashing high-tier talismans to seal the route. 8 trigrams formation. Activate. Mystical sigils burn, creating an inescapable phantom prison. Thinking he's won, the brother scoffs. Behold, sister. This is true master-level power. Once trapped in this cosmic array, even an undead god would be rendered powerless. Lin Tian continues his steady march forward, seemingly walking straight into the trap. The senior brother grins with arrogance, certain that victory is within his grasp. Just as the trap springs, Lin Tian suddenly veers off in a new direction. Their jaws drop. The perfect catch just walked away, leaving the cultivators fuming. This is absolutely infuriating. Lin Tian thinks, I'm a zombie, not a fool. That trap is as obvious as daylight. Realizing he isn't a mindless beast, the sister's voice trembles with sudden fear. The senior brother refuses to accept it. Impossible. No zombie possesses the sight to see. It's common knowledge that the undead are blind to light. This defies all logic. Driven by desperation, he barks, Quick! Hand over every talisman you have left. She complies as he frantically layers a double 8 trigrams formation across the path. This time, he blocks every flanking route, determined to pin Lin Tian down forever. Lin Tian sighs internally. The glowing trap is so bright, it's insulting his intelligence. Do these cultivators have eye problems? Why use such obvious traps? Once again, Lin Tian simply turns away, leaving the senior brother screaming in rage. The sister shudders. This zombie possesses a terrifying level of supernatural insight. Suddenly, the brother bursts into a manic laugh. He's a divine treasure, an immune body and spiritual sight. This creature is a once-in-a-century miracle. With him as our puppet, our sect will rule. Give me the master's secret seal. Hesitantly, she pulls out the master's zombie-fixing sigil, the absolute trump card of their lineage. The greedy brother snatches it away, ignoring her warnings about the relic's value. You should have given me this sooner. Look at all the paper I wasted. She tries to explain the danger, but he dismisses her with an arrogant flick. He glares at Lin Tian with predatory hunger. The game ends now. Beast. No escape. With a roar, he hurls the sacred seal directly at Lin Tian's forehead. No escape for Lin Tian. The seal slams onto his face, freezing his entire being. He is now completely at their mercy. The senior brother is ecstatic. Finally, he caught the prize. Even the junior sister rushes over to join the fun. Lin Tian feels his soul drifting. His body no longer belongs to him. This seal is on another level. Not just his limbs, but even his eyelids are locked in place. Seeing him paralyzed, the sister's fear turns into curiosity. She approaches, shamelessly stroking his face. This is a masterpiece. Her face flushes as she bites her finger. To her surprise, this zombie is actually quite handsome. Are you serious right now? Have some standards. She's even thirsting over a member of the undead. Thirst knows no bounds. She starts feeling up his solid chest, her hand wandering dangerously low in search of a prize. Even the senior brother is disgusted. Tone it down, will you? Stop being so shameless. If he weren't a zombie, she probably would have devoured him right there. But the girl has skin as thick as a wall. She's just curious. What's wrong with a little zombie exploration? A zombie's body is incredibly firm. Even Lin Tian is left speechless by this girl. I'm a zombie, but have some respect. Women these days are truly out of control. The brother can only let out a fake cough to hide his embarrassment. He switches topics, asking how to turn this catch into a puppet. The sister answers while still touching him. We scoop out the brain, apply seals, and soak him in blood. Lin Tian breaks into a cold sweat. Can I even survive without a brain? These people are pure evil. The more he thinks, the more his rage boils. By what right? Why must I be killed a second time after death? His eyes widen as a silent scream erupts in his mind. No! I won't die. I must avenge my family. I refuse to fall here. His gaze turns lethal. Sharp fangs slide out as the seal on his face begins to ignite. My enemies are still breathing. How can I die here? The master's strongest seal is burning on its own. The two disciples break into a cold sweat in terror. Is even a high-level seal useless against him? Indeed. Before their horrified eyes, Lin Tian moves. The seal crumbles into ash, scattering in the wind. Lin Tian glares with pure contempt, letting out a low growl. Translation? Your little stickers are useless against me. The Taoists are paralyzed with fear. This zombie is far beyond their power to suppress. He knows we're out of charms. The brother panics. We can't control him anymore. The sister stammers in fear. Suddenly, Lin Tian lunges. He leaves 3 deep claw marks right on the brother's face. Out of lingering humanity, he holds back from taking a life. Otherwise, 1 strike would have taken his head. The brother collapses, clutching his face in agonizing screams. Lin Tian snarls, signaling them to get lost. But they don't understand. They think he's coming for their lives. The brother is too terrified to stand. Despite the danger, the sister refuses to leave him behind. She desperately pulls his arm, screaming for him to run. Little does she know, her kindness is a death trap. Panic fills the brother's eyes. He's about to commit the unthinkable. In a heartbeat, he draws his sword. He ruthlessly slashes his own sister's leg. He turns away with a cold heart, forgetting she was the one who tried to save him. The sister falls in despair, betrayed by the one person she trusted most. After his cowardly act, he shouts back, "Don't worry. Sister, I will surely avenge you." With that, he vanishes like a shadow, leaving the sobbing girl behind to face the monster. "Don't leave me." Her cries echo through the forest as he disappears. Total despair washes over her. She grits her teeth through tears. "I hate you." Suddenly, Lin Tian leaps in front of her. The girl freezes in terror. But this time, zombie instincts take over. He attacks without hesitation. His razor-sharp claws sink into her shoulders, drawing a blood-curdling scream. Drowning in fear, she regrets everything. Why did they ever provoke such a terrifying monster? Too late. She could only instinctively beg Lin Tian, praying a monster still held a human soul. "Please, spare me," she sobbed. But hunger had already devoured Lin Tian's every shred of sanity. His fangs glistened with predatory drool. "Spare you? You're just food, and I'm starving to death." Eyes locked onto her pale, pulsing neck, Lin Tian's primal instincts began to scream. He imagined the taste sweet, warm, and intoxicating. Suddenly, he snapped and shoved her to the ground. Lin Tian clutched his head in agony, his human heart battling the monster within. "No, I'm not a zombie. I'm human. I won't let the darkness win." Shivering on the dirt, she watched in confusion. Why did the beast refuse to strike? When Lin Tian turned back, the madness was gone, replaced by a terrifying fear of his own power. With a guttural roar, he abandoned his defenseless prey and fled into the shadows. He didn't look back. If he stayed, the hunger would eventually consume them both. She survived against all odds, realizing this monster was unlike any zombie she had ever known. He wasn't a mindless killer. He was a desperate soul driven to the absolute edge. But Lin Tian didn't get far. Exhaustion surged through him, making every step feel like lead. His body was breaking, his vision failing. Without blood, even the undead face a second death. Revenge for my family. I can't die in a place like this. Suddenly, a warm current flowed through his veins. His sister was feeding him her own lifeblood. "Thank God, you're awake." But Lin Tian's heart sank. He was absolutely furious with her. "You fool. Now that I've tasted human blood, how can I ever control this craving?" He knew the truth. Without a constant supply of blood, his physical form would simply rot away. "Don't be afraid. You're a zombie now, accept it. I know you won't harm the innocent." Lin Tian's rage simmered, but he couldn't deny the divine power returning to his limbs. She warned him starving or drinking animal blood would only turn him into a mindless beast. If Lin Tian kept his hunger satiated, he could retain his humanity and protect others. She handed him a flask of her blood. "This is all I can spare. Use it wisely. We Taoists are made of tougher stuff. A little blood won't kill me." She awkwardly tried to hide it in his clothes before eventually tying the flask around his neck. "Farewell, handsome zombie." Meanwhile, the treacherous senior brother returned to the sect, weeping fake tears. "Master, Junior sister has been slaughtered by a monstrous zombie." I risked everything to save her. But the creature was too powerful. On his throne, the white-haired elder asked coldly, "So you are the only one who returned?" The beast was legendary. I was powerless to save her on my own. The elder ignored his excuses. I repeat, why have you returned alone? Terror gripped the brother's heart. Before he could lie again, the master's roar silenced the hall. Handing him 3 sacred talismans, the master ordered, "Slay the beast and bring her home." A cold sweat broke. He had fooled the elder, but he had lost his master's trust forever. His eyes flashed with malice. Once he found that zombie, he would tear it into 1,000 pieces. Racing down the path, the brother suddenly stopped dead. A familiar silhouette stood before him. It was her, the very junior sister he had left to die in the shadows. How? How are you still alive? How did you escape that monster? He tried to fake concern, but she met his gaze with eyes colder than death itself. "Thank heavens you're safe," he lied, reaching out. She slapped his hand away. "Don't touch me!" She would never forget. He had traded her life for his own survival. The coward immediately dropped to his knees, kowtowing in a desperate act of fake remorse. "Forgive me. The fear blinded me. I committed an unforgivable sin in my panic." 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 scoffed, her voice dripping with ice. "How quick your reflexes are. You crippled my leg so I couldn't run, using my blood as bait for the undead. What a brilliant, twisted scheme." Her senior brother remained on his knees, desperately pleading. He begged her to stay silent, fearing that if the truth reached their master, he would be cast out of the sect forever. "Give me one chance to atone. I know I was wrong, but haven't I always looked out for you, junior sister? Please, for the sake of our bond." Hearing his pathetic cries, 𝒁𝒐𝒈's heart wavered. After all, they had trained together for years. It was hard to believe he was truly beyond redemption. She finally decided to let the matter rest, but she had tragically underestimated the bottomless depravity of a cornered man. From behind, her brother delivered a lethal, treacherous strike. To a snake like him, only a corpse can truly be trusted to keep a secret. To ensure his crimes remained buried in the shadows, his junior sister could never be allowed to return to the sect alive. Within his warped mind, a perfect, heroic narrative was already beginning to take shape. The tragic sister slain by monsters, and the brave brother who fought back, ultimately slaying the zombie and refining its essence into a powerful treasure. He would become the sole heir, leading the sect to the pinnacle of the cultivation world. The dark truth would be buried forever beneath his stolen glory. At that moment, 𝒁𝒐𝒈 felt like a complete fool for ever trusting him. She had vastly underestimated the pure, unadulterated selfishness that drives a wicked soul. She thought her mercy would earn gratitude, hoping he might change for the better. But kindness is a wasted virtue on a venomous viper. For men like him, the only thing that matters is personal gain and survival. Once the stakes are high enough, they will cut down their closest allies without a shred of hesitation or remorse. Nearby, Lin Tian's strength surged as he consumed the vital essence, his undead body slowly knitting itself back together. With a single swipe, he shattered a massive tree into splinters. If a drop of blood made him this powerful, his vengeance would soon be legendary. His senses sharpened. The crimson haze in his eyes faded, replaced by predatory focus. Every scent and sound in the forest was now mapped within his mind. Suddenly, a familiar scent hit him. It wasn't the bottled blood, but 𝒁𝒐𝒈's fresh, flowing blood coming from the distance. "Don't blame me, sister," the brother hissed. "Blame yourself for surviving. Our master is far too sharp to be fooled by a living witness. If I'm cast out, who will lead our legacy? I am the only one fit to inherit the sect's future." He twisted his betrayal into a sacrifice for the sect. But before he could finish his delusion, a dark shadow loomed behind him. The brother reacted with snake-like speed, raising his blade just in time to block Lin Tian's devastating, bone-crushing kick. "Perfect timing. I was wondering where you were hiding." Lin Tian stared in disgust at the man's absolute lack of human decency. The senior brother froze as he realized the zombie wasn't attacking the girl, but standing as her protector. Horror gripped him. They were communicating. Noticing the blood on the zombie's neck, he snarled, "You're feeding this monster just to hunt me down? You'd unleash this filth upon our sacred sect? I was right to try and kill you, you traitorous brat. Well, beast, is my sister's blood sweet? Drink up while it's still warm, because I'm going to drown you in it." The taunt fueled Lin Tian's rage. He lunged forward, blinded by fury, falling straight into the cultivator's meticulously prepared trap. Suddenly, a massive 3-chi array erupted, sealing Lin Tian within a cage of light. Xiao gasped. It was a high-level seal from their master. The formation's power crushed Lin Tian from all sides. It felt as if his very soul was being ground into dust from within. This is a supreme array bestowed by my master himself, a gift for my protection. Using it on a mere zombie is a waste, but consider it an honor to be purged by such holy light. This seal exists to balance the world's order. Lin Tian couldn't understand the technicalities, but the agony was real and overwhelming. Knowing he had to endure, he downed the remaining blood in a desperate bid to fuel his dying spark. Ha! Truly a beast until the end. You think drinking a Taoist's blood will save you? It'll only accelerate your miserable demise. Despite her grievous wounds, Xiao crawled toward a nearby rock, desperately scrawling a secret incantation with her own blood. Just as he moved for the kill, the rock slammed into his head, shattering the array's focus. Run, Lin Tian, now. The brother's eyes burned with murderous rage as the formation collapsed. You human traitor! A Taoist helping a monster? Unforgivable. I'll end you first. But as he swung his sword, a cold, iron-like grip caught his wrist. Lin Tian let out a guttural, terrifying growl. His eyes screamed, "Your mask of justice is pathetic. Your life is mine now." With a sickening crack, Lin Tian snapped his arm before delivering a bone-shattering kick to his chest. The impact sent the brother flying, coughing up blood as he crashed through the trees. One final strike sent him spiraling into the dark forest. Lin Tian rushed back to support Xiao. Even while fading, her only concern was for the monster who saved her. My blood. Take it, then leave this place. My master, he won't show you any mercy. Run, and don't look back. Master be damned. I refuse to let death take you away. Xiao bared her neck in a silent plea. Could I truly sink my fangs into her? Blood soaked the earth. How do I save her? Does she truly wish to become a monster like me? Even with a fatal wound, this girl is still trying to protect me. Lin Tian couldn't watch her fade away. He finally bit into her porcelain skin. Her eyes went hollow as she collapsed into his arms. Is she gone? How could this happen? Was I a fool to believe my curse could grant her a second life? Just as despair took hold, her lifeless body suddenly twitched with power. She snapped upright, startling him. The ritual worked. She has awakened as the undead. Transformed in an instant, with crimson eyes glowing, she leaped toward the dark forest. There lay the traitorous senior brother, paralyzed and groaning in agonizing pain. Hearing a sound from the shadows, he turned his head in pure terror. Xiao stood over him like a demon, fangs bared and hunger dripping from her lips. Realizing his sister was now a monster, he begged for mercy through tears. But his desperate pleas were met with nothing but a ghastly, twisted grin. She lunged, tearing into his throat. Heaven might forgive, but karma never forgets. The traitor paid in blood. Such is the fate of those who betray their own. Suddenly, a spark of consciousness returned to her. She stared at the corpse before her, unable to believe the horror she had committed. She turned to Lin Tian, her soul drowning in overwhelming fear and confusion. She pointed at the dead man, trembling. Run, Lin Tian! If my master finds you, he will kill you. But all Lin Tian heard were the guttural growls of a hungry beast. Why is it my turn to be unable to understand? She tried to push him away, but a figure appeared. An old man pinned Lin Tian with a seal and bound her. Lin Tian's body froze instantly. It felt as if 1,000 iron chains were crushing him. You have some spirit, beast, but your power is far from mature. This was the sect leader, 𝒁𝒐𝒎𝒃𝒊𝒆. His strength far eclipsed his weak disciples. Lin Tian realized he was facing a true monster. This seal was unlike anything he had ever felt. He roared, channeling his inner darkness to shatter the paper binding. Don't you dare look down on me. A mere scrap of paper cannot hold a king. 𝒁𝒐𝒎𝒃𝒊𝒆 scoffed and threw 2 more seals. They burned away instantly, failing to suppress Lin Tian's rising aura. The master's gaze turned cold. If spells won't work, then let steel do the talking. With a flick of his wrist, 4 sharp artifacts whistled through the air. However, his skin was like reinforced iron. The weapons failed to pierce, proving he was no ordinary zombie. Lin Tian growled a final warning. You can't hurt me, old man. Leave her and go. But he underestimated the old man's resolve. If magic failed, he had other ways. 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 wove a complex hand seal as ancient incantations filled the air. Instinct screamed at Lin Tian to flee. Despite his age, the master moved like a lightning strike. A devastating palm strike slammed into Lin Tian's chest before he could even react. So what if you're the undead? You're still just a corpse in my eyes. The impact sent Lin Tian flying through the woods, shattering ancient trees like dry twigs. But 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈's confidence suddenly shattered. How is this possible? Lin Tian rose, eyes blazing with fury. I warned you, don't force my hand. The master looked at his fallen disciples, then back at the beast. You understand me? I must know. Do you still possess a human soul? Lam Thian desperately signaled the Taoist with a series of urgent gestures. I was human once, and she still has a soul. Please, spare us. But the monk misunderstood. To him, a conscious zombie was an unholy abomination. He unleashed a devastating punch. Lam Thian blocked, but the impact shattered his arm bones completely. Lam Thian tried to explain that he had never harmed a single soul. The monk didn't care. His strikes rained down with relentless, lethal force. A sect master's power was overwhelming. After just a few blows, Lam Thian's body crumbled. He needed to regenerate instantly, or he would be crushed into dust right here. The girl's blood was on the ground. One drop, but the monk locked him in a chokehold. Did you think I would let you feed, monster? The monk hissed. Success was inches away, but the monk's arms were like steel bands, crushing his hope. In total despair, his hand brushed the blood on the floor. His eyes ignited. A revelation struck. He didn't need his mouth. He could absorb blood through his palms. The monk's face went pale. A zombie that feeds through its hands? Impossible. With the essence of blood, Lam Thian's power surged. The tide was finally turning. He broke free and hurled the monk away. Lucky beast, he spat. I'll kill you again. Lam Thian caught the next punch effortlessly and injected deadly zombie venom into his veins. The monk's veins turned a sickly purple instantly. The poison was already spreading. Without a moment of hesitation, the monk drew his gleaming blade. He sliced off his own arm to stop the rot. You want blood, beast? Fine. Taste my blood. It is pure yang energy. Let it burn you from within. The holy blood burned like acid. Black smoke erupted from Lam Thian's mouth in agony. Lam Thian tried to retreat, but the monk locked him in a suicidal death grip. It felt like molten lead in his veins. Rot for your sins, monster. Turn to dust. Lam Thian's mind began to fade into a dark haze. I was wrong. Stop this torture. I beg you, have mercy on me. Then, he snapped back. Why should he suffer? He fought back, stopping the flow. Lam Thian glared at the monk. If you're so eager to die, I won't stop you. The blood started draining rapidly. I'll drain you dry and see who perishes first. Let's see whose energy lasts. Your yin will be purified by my yang until you vanish. Lam Thian felt his physical form reaching its absolute breaking point. He needed pure blood, but the girl's was gone, and the monk's was poison. Wait. Perhaps even a single drop could change the flow of fate. The monk's yang was too strong. Direct consumption meant certain, agonizing death. He had to infuse yin into every drop of yang. Slowly, he merged the conflicting energies. The pain was excruciating, as if his very lungs were being torn apart. Your tricks are useless, the monk mocked. But Lam Thian refused to give up. Success. He finally converted a single drop of yang into pure, usable yin energy. Again and again, he repeated the grueling process, over and over without end. The flow increased to 50 milliliters, 100, then 200. He was winning. The monk's eyes widened in horror. The zombie's yin aura was exploding in power. The pain vanished completely. He was now feasting directly on the sect master's life essence. Drained of blood, the monk grew weak. Yet he clung to Lam Thian like a parasite. Let go. You can't stop me anymore. If you stay, you will truly die. But the monk's resolve never wavered. Death? I long ago prepared for this final end. He begins the forbidden chant, summoning a ferocious divine general behind him. Chains and spectral blades manifest, coiling around their necks. This ultimate spell is terrifyingly powerful, but it demands a price that can only be paid once in a lifetime. The general's blade pierces them both, yet Lin Tian's fierce will refuses to break. His soul-deep obsession for revenge keeps him standing. As the devastating technique concludes, the battlefield falls into a haunting silence. The old Taoist's life fades like a flickering candle. He draws his final breath in Lin Tian's arms, eyes wide with lingering hatred. Lin Tian roars in fury. "You're dead, so why do you still glare? What did I ever do to deserve this hell?" Driven by instinct, Lin Tian bites the old man's neck. He's not just killing him, he's resurrecting him as an undead thrall. Transformation strikes instantly. The Taoist's body twists as lethal fangs and claws erupt from his skin, marking his descent into darkness. The resurrected master lunges. "Abomination! Take this, my infinite yin-yang strike." He screams, still clinging to his past life's power. But reality hits hard. The old man realizes he can no longer gather the pure energy of the heavens. Lin Tian smirks. "Surprise, old man." He watches his own severed arm grow back instantly, the true miracle of a zombie king. Horror fills the monk's soul. A lifetime of hunting demons, only to become the very nightmare he swore to destroy. "Monster! What have you turned me into?" Lin Tian merely whispers a cold command. "Do not move." Suddenly, the Taoist's body freezes. He is bound by an invisible crown. Lin Tian is the king, and he is but a soldier. I can control him? Lin Tian realizes with shock. Not only that, but his human voice has finally returned to him. Despair washes over the monk. The heavens have fallen. To be ruled by a ghoul is the ultimate disgrace. Testing his absolute authority, Lin Tian orders the monk to stand tall. Without hesitation, the body obeys the king's silent will. Absolute obedience. Fascinating. Stay there. Lin Tian turns his gaze toward the young girl. 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈. He peels away the sealing charm from her forehead. Instantly, her frozen body regains its freedom of movement. Confusion turns to fear as she sees her master standing like a hollow statue. She rushes to his side, trembling with dread. The truth is a jagged blade. Her beloved master has also fallen into the abyss of the undead. Rage blazes in her eyes as she prepares to strike. But Lin Tian releases his kingly pressure, pinning her instantly to the ground. "Enough. It is time we spoke properly." Lin Tian's voice echoes with the weight of a true sovereign. "Why is everyone so blinded by prejudice? I saved your life. Can we finally have a civil conversation? Vile lies. You have corrupted my soul and dare call it salvation?" The monk spits out the words with venom. "Believe what you want, but I won't watch people die. As for your disciples, their blood is not on my hands. This girl was murdered by her own senior. Look at the sword wound, it is the mark of your own sect. And that coward, he betrayed her, and was killed by his own karma. He reaped exactly what he sowed. The master remains stubborn. Even so, they perished because of your cursed existence. You are the root of this tragedy. You possess human intelligence and immortal power. You are a walking calamity that the world cannot allow to exist. The heavens demand your end. A dead man has no place among the living. That is the only divine law." Lin Tian's mind drifts back to the echoes of his past life, filled with shadows and unearned pain. Divine law? Then why do the wealthy crush the poor? Why do the selfish twist the truth for their own gain? Why did my family perish while the killers walked free? Why am I the monster when I haven't harmed anyone? You call this justice? If this is your heavenly law, then it is nothing but a cruel, twisted joke. Right and wrong no longer matter. My only goal is to rip the hearts out of those who destroyed my world. If you want to stop me, then try." His body begins to pulsate, undergoing a terrifying metamorphosis. His hair lengthens into a wild mane. Deep blue fur erupts across his skin as his true kingly form awakens. "The sun is rising," he warns coldly. "Find shadows, or the dawn will be your final executioner." But the monk has a different plan. He slams 2 sacred talismans onto his own ears. Deaf to all reason, he grabs the girl and leaps into the open field, where the morning light burns brightest with no cover. To a Taoist, purging evil is the only path, even if it means sacrificing everything he holds dear. No monster can remain under the sun. "Forgive me, 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈. This is the only way to save your soul." The first rays of dawn strike. The girl's agonizing screams pierce the morning as her body begins to incinerate. In his final moments, the monk remembers finding her as a discarded infant, a life that began in tragedy, ending in fire. 𝒁𝒊𝒏𝒈 had raised little 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 since infancy, watching her every step. She was his true daughter. "Forgive me," he sobbed. "I failed to protect you." Grief washed over 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 in devastating waves at his words. Yet she held no grudge against her master, a Taoist bound by duty. Lam Thien intervened. I'm struggling to survive, yet you're choosing death? Don't provoke me. Get over here now, before your time runs out in agony. The master gazed at her with pure love. 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈, do you wish to live? Her silent eyes blazed with a fierce, desperate desire to survive. With a roar, he hurled 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 toward the waiting Lam Thien. Lam Thien caught her midair with inhuman speed, retreating into the cool shadows. He quickly declared his name was Lam Thien, not just some zombie. 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 tried to rush back, but he shielded her from the lethal sun. 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 gave a final, silent farewell before the end. As the sun rose, he dissolved into ash. 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 fainted from pure despair. Tears are useless for the dead. We can only look toward the future. Strange. I should be exhausted, yet I feel perfectly fine in daylight. Am I immune to the sun? He tested it, but reality burned him instantly. It's scorching. I need cover. But what should I do with her? Should I bury her alive? He dug a secluded hole to keep her hidden. For himself, he uprooted a massive tree to serve as a sunshade. 2 zombies hiding in broad daylight. I'll come back for her at nightfall. If she becomes a burden, she's on her own. I have no time for this. Clutching his umbrella, he moved with blinding speed until a sudden stumble. My body feels so weak. What is this strange transformation? His limbs felt soft, and his vision sharpened, but thick fur sprouted everywhere. I've become a true monster. I suppose I owe 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 thanks. But looking like this, I can't even enter the city for my revenge. Suddenly, the scent of fresh human blood wafted from a nearby cave. A desperate cry echoed from within. Lam Thien rushed in, tree in hand. He froze at the sight of a massive, clawed paw. A titangent-sized tiger loomed. It was a gargantuan beast. Then, the cry for help rang out again. Deep inside, a man huddled on a pile of bones, trembling in terror. Lam Thien recognized him as the owner of the wounded goat. Stay still, I'll save you. The tiger lunged at its new prey. Lam Thien didn't flinch, charging head-on against the beast's lethal claws. A normal human would be pulverized, but he was an evolved undead. He unleashed a devastating punch, meeting the tiger's strike with raw power. His fist hit like a ton of steel, shattering the beast's skull instantly. One punch killed the forest king. Are tigers really this weak? The man was stunned, his crying replaced by pure, silent shock. Lam Thien offered a smile. You're safe. Your son is waiting for you. How do you know that? The man stammered in absolute fear. Seeing Lam Thien's face, the man fled in terror. I guess I'm a monster. I need clothes to hide this form, he muttered to himself. As night fell, he set out to find a disguise and trim his claws. Wang Yifan managed to find a secluded sanctuary, far from any prying eyes. You never expected a dead man like me to return for vengeance. Suddenly, a thick mist swirled in. Lin Tian's vision blurred as the fog took hold. Stumbling through the woods, he tripped over a hidden hatch. He pried it open, revealing a dark cellar. Before he could enter, a voice echoed, "Time for dinner." As the haze thinned, lights flickered ahead. Somehow, he had wandered straight into a quiet residential area. Looking around, he noticed fresh clothes drying in a nearby yard. Lin Tian reached for an outfit, but a sudden call from inside forced him to hide in the shadows. "Where are you hiding, Xiaotian? Stop playing games and come inside this instant. I cooked all your favorites today." Lin Tian's heart ached. No one was supposed to be waiting for him. Suddenly, the voice felt hauntingly familiar. It was calling out to him with such warmth. Compelled by a strange force, he drew closer. Just then, the front door creaked open. His jaw dropped. Standing there was his mother, with his father and sister waiting at the table. "You brat, why are you so late?" Tears blurred his vision. This happiness felt like a dream. "Don't cry, you're home now." He sat down, finally sharing a meal with his long-lost family. But in the blink of an eye, the warmth and laughter shattered into a million pieces. The world turned cold and desolate. Lin Tian stood alone amidst the withered, fog-choked trees. It was all a cruel illusion. In the cellar below, twisted, grinning corpses stared back at him. Trapped in a mental wasteland, Lin Tian remained paralyzed. A sinister voice hissed from the darkness. A powerful vessel and a soul fueled by grudges. Simply delicious. He. Lin Tian's eyes remained hollow. Before him, his family smiled, continuing their spectral feast. How are you all here? I missed you so much. Is this our old home? We brought you here as a child, remember? Now, quit daydreaming and eat your dinner. Mom's been busy all day just for you, brother. She worked so hard. Overwhelmed with emotion, he picked up his bowl. Thank you, Mom. I'm so hungry. He took a bite. Even the plain rice tasted like the most divine meal on earth. Nothing beats home, his father remarked, while his mother chuckled at his messy eating. Let's stay here forever, okay? Silly girl, how will we survive if I don't work? What about Dad's medical bills? I'm cured. We have land, livestock, and everything we need right here. I'll take you fishing tomorrow. Hearing that, Lin Tian froze. Reality began to bleed through. But I have to kill Wang Yifan. He burned our home. He murdered you all. What nonsense are you talking about? We're right here. Don't say such unlucky things. Lin Tian clutched his head in agony, his mind a battlefield. No, I must have my revenge. His sister's face distorted as she screamed. Shut up! We're already dead. Why won't you just let go? The memories rushed back like a tidal wave, his eyes filled with despair. Dead. You're all dead. They swarmed him, their touch cold as ice. Stop fighting. Xiao Tian. Stay with us for eternity. Exhausted and broken, Lin Tian stopped resisting, his spirit beginning to fade into the gloom. In reality, his body stood frozen in the fog, cracking under the weight of his dark obsession. In his mind, dawn broke. Let's go fishing. The morning catch is waiting, his father urged. He tried to follow, but his feet were leaden. The shackles of his hatred wouldn't let him move. His father's face twisted in rage. Useless brat. He swung a fishing hook toward Lin Tian. The metal barb sank deep into his skull. Come here right now, the monster bellowed. The hook began to drag his spectral soul from his body, pulling a shimmering blue form away. Suddenly, horrific crimson tentacles erupted from Lin Tian's head, lashing out like hungry snakes. They coiled around his soul, anchoring it back into his physical vessel with terrifying strength. Not even his family could tear his soul away now. Damn it, it won't budge. Fall back. Then I'll just shatter your soul and take your corpse. They growled, brandishing cans of gasoline. Wearing twisted grins, they doused themselves in fuel. Lin Tian watched, paralyzed by sheer terror. Stop it! The forest erupted in agonizing screams. Brother, why won't you save us? The smell of burning flesh was unbearable. Lin Tian could only wail in hopeless, gut-wrenching despair. Father, mother. His soul began to fracture, threatening to tear away from his physical shell. Amidst the dancing hellfire, their faces contorted into demonic masks of pure hatred. You killed us. Why do you get to live? You're a worthless, pathetic failure. Consumed by crushing guilt, Lin Tian began to choke himself, sobbing for a forgiveness that wouldn't come. Suddenly, Xiao Xiao shattered the illusion. Lin Tian gasped. How? How are you here? Xiao Xiao let out a primal roar, her voice snapping his mind back to reality. The mist returned. She growled a warning. They were trapped in a lethal web of ghostly sorcery. A powerful specter is nearby. We must run. But Lin Tian couldn't understand her animalistic warnings. She tried dragging him away, but Lin Tian stood his ground, his blood beginning to boil. He roared into the shadows. Monster or demon, show your face and fight me. A dark vortex erupted. A chilling, hollow voice echoed through the trees. How utterly foolish. You could have died happily in a dream. Now, you'll suffer. The nightmare finally stepped into the light. A six-armed puppet with jagged fangs loomed over them, its presence reeking of death. I'll show you true despair. Lin Tian glared at the beast that mocked his family's memory. You. It was all your sick game. The ghost hungered for the scent of his grieving soul. Lin Tian's eyes burned with murderous intent. You dared to use my family as a toy? I'll tear you apart. The ghost cackled. Family? They were nothing but pathetic burdens. They're dead and gone. Deep down, aren't you relieved to be finally free of them? Asterisk, crack! Asterisk. Lin Tian's kick shattered the monster's jaw. The specter froze in absolute shock. You can touch me. Shut your filthy mouth. Lin Tian followed up with a heavy fist buried deep into the ghost's face. Despite the brutal impact, the specter let out a twisted, bone-chilling cackle from the dirt. Someone can actually hurt me? How fascinating. I hope you don't break too easily. Lin Tian's rage hit the breaking point. I'll send you back to hell myself. He lunged, but the ghost vanished. 6 skeletal arms erupted from the earth, surrounding him. They moved like lightning, pinning Lin Tian's limbs before he could even react. He was trapped in a vice-like grip. Horror struck as he saw 𝒁𝒏𝒈 was captured too. The specter hoisted her up like a trophy, mocking Lin Tian with its cruel, hollow eyes. Let her go. This is between us. The monster only grew more ecstatic at his fear. It licked her face with a black tongue. Once you're on my plate, there's no escape. 𝒁𝒏𝒈 looked at him one last time, her eyes full of silent sorrow, before letting go. The specter let out a triumphant laugh. That's right. No struggle means a sweeter death. It opened its massive, toothy maw. Lin Tian watched, paralyzed as the darkness closed in on her. The beast devoured her whole in one bite. It licked its lips, savoring the spiritual feast. Exquisite. A spiritualist makes for such a perfect, high-quality appetizer. Still pinned by the 6 arms, Lin Tian let out a roar of unadulterated, soul-shattering agony. It's your fault she's dead. Let the guilt rot your soul. It makes the meat tastier. Lin Tian's power exploded. He tore free from the ghostly hands and lunged at the beast. Spit her out right now, or I'll rip your heart out through your throat. Try it, little human. The specter shifted, morphing into the image of Lin Tian's sister. Big brother, the illusion whispered. Her eyes filled with fake, manipulative tears. But Lin Tian didn't hesitate for a second. Do you really take me for a fool? Out of nowhere, 𝒁𝒏𝒈 lunged forward and hugged him tight, whispering, I missed you so much, brother. Lin Tian cherished his family above all else. Even knowing this sister was a mere illusion, he couldn't bring himself to strike. Suddenly, the girl's head distorted into a hideous wraith. Lin Tian was ensnared once more. Even if you know it's a lie, your heart remains a cage. This is the ultimate human weakness. I have feasted on souls for 100 years, devouring countless fools just like you. As long as I possess your deepest desires, I can make any lie your reality, watching you gladly trade your soul for a fleeting shadow of a dream. You play with their hearts before devouring their flesh. You truly are a repulsive monster. No, 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 I am a gourmet of souls. A divine feast must be prepared with the utmost care before the first bite. Hatred and regret are decent seasonings, but something is missing. A dash of pure agony will make this perfect. With a cruel flick, the wraith manipulated its puppet. Lin Tian's arms were brutally torn away, his screams of pain echoing through the void. Hearing that cry, the wraith felt the seasoning was finally complete. Your soul is stubborn, but don't worry, the end is here. A medieval guillotine manifested from the shadows, its blade gleaming with a cold, murderous intent. The wraith gloated. Behold the decapitation stand, a magnificent invention from France, designed for the ultimate end. But do not fear. It was made to grant a swift death. Consider this a reward for your pathetic persistence. An axe appeared in the wraith's hand. It is all thanks to you. I haven't had this much fun in centuries. After a final farewell, the wraith swung the heavy axe, severing the rope with terrifying force. The cords snapped. The razor-sharp blade plummeted through the air, aimed directly for Lin Tian's defenseless neck. Rewind several minutes. Lin Tian watched the axe and realized he was finished. His limbs were shattered. There was no escape. But wait, 𝒁𝒏𝒈 wouldn't just die like this, would she? She is a master Taoist. She must have a way out. Her last expression didn't look like despair. She was trying to tell me something. Suddenly, a metallic stench hit his nose. Why would there be the foul smell of blood in this dreamscape? It was time for a desperate gamble. As the blade fell, Lin Tian closed his eyes and focused entirely on that scent of blood. He snapped his eyes open, the nightmare shattered. Lin Tian stood tall, his body and arms perfectly intact. The wraith hissed in frustration. Her perfect scheme had failed at the very last second. 𝒁𝒏𝒈 was safe. Everything he had witnessed was nothing but a twisted fabrication of the mind. The spirit shrieked in disbelief. You were just a fool. How could a creature like you break my master illusion? It's the blood. To a zombie like me, blood is a sweet perfume. Why would it ever smell foul? The wraith gasped in shock. A zombie with a soul? And what is that disgusting, overwhelming presence lurking deep inside your body? Inside me? You should worry about yourself first, because I'm about to beat you into oblivion. Enraged, the wraith shrieked. You're just a corpse. How dare you defy me? She unleashed waves of eerie blue light into the cellar, She was summoning her army, the countless victims she had claimed over the long years. Their faces were frozen in blissful smiles, forever trapped in the illusions that led to their demise. This is no longer a dream. Let's see how you handle a physical slaughter. The puppets swarmed like a tide. Lin Tian roared. If I end up killing you all over again, don't blame me. He muttered an apology to the dead. But as the first blow landed, he realized something was terribly wrong. A punch that could shatter ancient trees was effortlessly caught by a single walking corpse. Lin Tian was sent flying. How could mere dead bodies possess such devastating, unnatural strength? The wraith mocked him. Enough talk. You're just a corpse, too. Did you think you could defeat my elite ghost army? Lin Tian struggled to his feet, unable to comprehend the overwhelming power of these thralls. These are ghost-possessed corpses, immortal, indestructible, and hand-picked for their absolute physical perfection. With a screeching command, the wraith sent her mindless subordinates to pin Lin Tian down. The ghost corpses lunged, grappling his body. But the true horror was the massive figure looming behind the wraith. A mountain of a man appeared, his muscles rippling with an aura of pure, unadulterated violence. With one devastating kick, he sent Lin Tian and the other corpses soaring. This monster moved like a professional athlete. Crashing into the dirt, Lin Tian screamed to his partner, "Xiao, get out of here right now." He fought desperately against the undead. But these monsters possessed the strength of raging bulls. With no other choice, Lin Tian leaped high into the air to escape their relentless clutches. But he underestimated them, their explosive power matched his own, and a heavy blow sent him crashing back down. Since when were mere zombies this overwhelming? Lin Tian had to scramble away to survive the onslaught. Escape seemed impossible now, as the surrounding forest crawled with an endless sea of walking corpses. Suddenly, a tactical thought flashed through his mind. Could the terrain be turned against these monsters? As a zombie lunged, Lin Tian grabbed a tree trunk, utilizing the centrifugal force to pivot. With lightning speed, he swung around and unleashed a devastating dragon kick, blasting the monster away. Seeing Xiao struggling nearby, Lin Tian shouted, "Hold on, just a bit longer. I am coming." Suddenly, a massive, bald zombie built like a mountain loomed directly behind him. A crushing fist slammed into his stomach, making him feel as if his very soul was shattering. The evil spirit mocked him. "My undead are invincible. I can smell your delicious despair." Lin Tian roared back in fury. "Shut your mouth. This forest will be your final resting place." Meanwhile, Xiao fought back wildly, biting a zombie's arm in a desperate act of defiance. Miraculously, the zombie collapsed instantly, leaving the evil spirit completely stunned by the broken connection. A realization struck Lin Tian like a bolt of lightning. He could turn these monsters into his subordinates. He lunged forward, biting the massive zombie's shoulder, and it collapsed as the spirit shrieked in confusion. Seconds later, the colossal undead rose once more, but its eyes held a new light. It was now Lin Tian's loyal servant, baring its fangs as it seized the evil spirit without hesitation. Lin Tian turned to Xiao and commanded, "Transform all of these remnants into our undead army." To his surprise, she had already finished. Her speed at turning them was truly terrifying to behold. As she began counting her new puppets, Lin Tian waved her off. The spirit was now brought before him. Even captured, the spirit remained arrogant, sneering. "So you caught me. What then? I am already dead. Your physical attacks cannot harm me." Lin Tian smiled that made things even better. Without a word, he unleashed a soul-shattering punch directly into its face. "Eat this." The spirit screamed. Lin Tian's fists could actually damage its very essence. "How is this possible? You think you're the only one who can play with the dead?" The spirit's arrogance turned to pure terror. Its form began to flicker and fade. One more strike would mean permanent erasure from existence. Seeing Lin Tian readying another blow, the spirit begged for mercy. "Wait. Let's talk this out, friend." Lin Tian didn't care for its lies and struck again, refusing to be fooled by its pathetic acting. The brutal impact tore through the spirit's form, forcing it back into its original, weakened state. In an unexpected twist, the terrifying spirit transformed back into a harmless young schoolgirl. That is all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to 𝒁𝒐𝒏𝒈 Anime to support Senpai. See you all in the next epic chapter. Goodbye for now.